It is great to be in the SEC. Welcome back to the 2025 season of the SEC Recap Podcast. It is great to be back. I am your host, Ben Warren, and this is episode 1, and we are starting off with some fireworks. Week 1 brings us 2 massive interconference showdowns. Texas at Ohio State, LSU at Clemson. These are playoff level games right here in week 1. They're perfect opportunities to show off our new matchup predictor model, how I use data. Kind of kicked this part of the show off last year, and it was very successful. And so I want to keep it going. Made a lot of tweaks in the offseason, put a lot of work into this, and we are rolling with it into 2025. We're going to break down what really matters in these games. Now, a lot of you out there have been seeing, all the preseason stuff. It's all talk. It's the AP poll. It's the coaches poll, preseason rankings. All of that means absolutely jack squat. Not a single team, not a single SEC team has played a game in 2025. We have no 2025 data other than returning production in a roster. So sure, we could extrapolate that and we could pick who we, are reasonably sure the bottom 3 or 4 teams are going to be, who the top 3 or 4 teams are going to be, and then try to arrange everyone else in the middle. But guys, let's just wait till we get some games. Like, how about that? Like, can we just wait till we get a little bit of action on the field before we start trying to rank teams? Because all of this is going to change so much over the next 3-4 weeks, especially once we get into conference play. There's no real point other than just to generate vapid, meaningless content right now and for people to listen to themselves talk. Don't get me wrong. I love all the preseason hype. Everybody's excited about their team, right? It's that time of year. Everything's possible. The sky's the limit for every team. Every team right now is going to go 10-2 and make the college football playoff. Every team that we know is going to go 6-6 or 7-5 is going to upset Georgia or Alabama or Texas at home this year, right? It's not going to happen. Maybe somebody does. Hell, we didn't know Vandy was going to do it. Nobody was picking that last year preseason. So what's it all mean? Let's just kind of pump the brakes on rankings for right now. Believe me, I love the power rankings. I've got a great power rankings model. Once we get some actual game data, that'll carry a lot more water. You know what I mean? So let's hold off on rankings and instead let's get into the meat of what we really want to talk about. And that's the predictions. That is the matchups, right? So I'm introducing the updated model, my matchup predictor model, my SEC precap, if you will. So before we get into it, trust me, guys, I'm going to break down LSU Clemson. I'm going to break down Texas at Ohio State. We're going to talk a little Alabama, Florida State, Tennessee, Syracuse, maybe even Auburn Baylor, right? We got some games to talk about, but let me just set it up really, really quickly. All right. So for new listeners, we're going to talk about some advanced statistics, things like EPA, expected points added, success rate, Havoc. Here's what all of those things kind of mean. EPA, or expected points added, measures how much each play changes a team's expected points. And that's really the backbone of this model. It was last year. Nothing's changed this year. Rushing and passing EPA obviously are weighted the heaviest. Success rate is going to track how often an offense stays on schedule, getting the yardage that they need on each down. And that's about consistency, not explosiveness. Explosiveness is the next step, measuring those big plays, those 90th percentile EPAs. Upsets usually happen when an underdog is hitting more of those explosives. Havoc rate, flipping it over to the defense. It's all about defensive disruption, those sacks, tackles for loss, turnovers. It's weighted a little lighter, but that chaos factor can swing a game, particularly in those closer matchups. You'll see Havoc play a little bit or carry a little bit more weight. And finally, field position. It's those hidden yards in football where you're starting your drive, special teams coverage. Our model boosts teams that consistently win the field position battle. And again, that's going to matter in some of those closer matchups. So all of that gets combined into a win probability and a projected margin. So when we say one team, say, has a 60% chance to win, that's the math behind it. A team could have a 60% chance to win by a single point. A team could also have a 60% chance to win by a touchdown, right? So I just want you to understand as we get into Texas, Ohio State here. See one person tuning in. Thank you very much. Good morning to you. You'll understand what these numbers mean. So let me flip it on over here. Let you take a look at it on screen. Now, I'm going to explain all of this, okay? But here's the matchup predictor card. By the way, if you're not on YouTube, you need to be watching this on YouTube. I've got all the graphics up, or on Spotify because they do video podcasts now. So please like and subscribe on YouTube, or head on over to Spotify to check us out there. Now, starting with Texas at Ohio State, noon kickoff in the Horseshoe. Longhorns rolling into this one as like the number one consensus team in the country, but an underdog in this game, right? Now, here's what our matchup predictor model tells us. The model breaks down play-by-play efficiency metrics, weights them based on predictive power. As I said, EPA is the backbone, success rate, and then after that, things like explosiveness, field position, third down success, havoc rate, right? So let's walk through each one of these edges. It's all explained on the card, but I'll talk you through here with it too. So EPA per rush, this is very heavily weighted. That's the running game, right? Ohio State has the edge here. These are all deltas, right? This is the difference between Texas's EPA per rush and Ohio State's rush. So these positive metrics are going to favor the home team. This model is predicting the win probability for the home team. Ohio State has the edge here. They project to run the ball more efficiently than Texas. And since rushing EPA is highly predictive, this adds win probability to the Buckeyes. On EPA per dropback, Texas having a slight advantage in passing efficiency. This is their path to pulling the upset, right? If Texas can protect Arch Manning, that passing game can offset Ohio State's rush edge because your EPA per dropback or EPA per pass is typically going to be higher than your EPA per rush. Early downs EPA and explosiveness. Ohio State is going to lead here. They're a little bit more consistent. Winning on first and second downs avoids third and long situations. The horseshoe is the last place you want to be facing, like, third and short if you're Texas, I think. And obviously, like, winning on those first and second downs, hugely important for your running game, not having to put the ball through the air as often, keeping the ball on the ground. Your field position delta, moderate to high weight here. Ohio State has a large advantage. Hidden yards, average drive starts, punts, coverage. If you think this game is going to be within a touchdown, or if you think it's going to be even closer than that, 3 or 4 points, that field position really starts to come into play. Third and fourth down success is a little bit lighter weight, pretty even here. Texas's defense was very elite on third downs last year, while Ohio State's offense was excellent. This is going to be a true strength on strength matchup, so one that I'm interested to watch here. Pressure and havoc rate. Texas has the advantage on that defensive front. Their defensive front can create chaos, sacks, tackles for loss, turnovers. Havoc isn't weighted as heavily as EPA, but it's the kind of thing that is going to swing those upsets. So every time I run this model, it's a little bit different, right? Right now, Ohio State is, has a win probability of 88.2%. Every time I run this model, guys, it could be anywhere between like 84 and 88, right? It's going to be a little bit different just because it's a random forest model. It's looking for those decision splits and then trying to minimize the error. So within a few percentage points difference, right? A projected margin of 7.6 points. Okay. Now, projected margin is not a spread. If you're looking at like Ohio State plus the 7.6 and you're thinking like, or 7.8, excuse me, and you're thinking, wait a minute. Like usually when I look at lines, the favored team is negative. They're being given points. That's a betting spread. That's designed to draw in betting action on both sides. If you think one team's going to, win by more than that, or another team is going to cover that spread. This is just the model's predicted win margin. Okay. So it thinks Ohio State has an 88.2% chance to win by 7.8 points. That's what that means there. So the Buckeyes are still a favorite, but a touchdown at home, it's not out of the realm of possibility for the Texas Longhorns. This matchup is a showcase of new quarterbacks and elite defenses. Texas is rolling out Arch Manning for his first full year as a starter behind a rebuilt offensive line with 4 new starters. Expect Sarkisian to lean on Wisner early, relieve or ease some of that pressure on Manning, test Ohio State's front. Manning will be challenged by Ohio State's secondary. Okay. Caleb Downs, David Igbinosun. God, I hope I said that right. One of the best DB groups, I think, in the country. On the other side, Ohio State is going to counter with Julian Sayin making his debut behind an O-line with some holes maybe, and he'll throw to an absolutely disturbingly talented receiving core. Jeremiah Smith, number 1 recruit in the nation, Cardinal Tate, Brandon Ennis. The problem here, that Texas defensive front, that front 7, Anthony Hill Jr., Colin Simmons, one of the nastiest duos in college football. Sark's defense going to try to rattle a young QB with some pressure, some odd fronts probably, while Ohio State's going to lean on that power run to take the heat off of him. So if Ohio State can stay good on those EPA per rush, right, and that success rate, you're not having to put the ball in his hands as often. Strategically, this is strength on strength. Ohio State's veteran defense under new DC Matt Patricia versus Texas's very hyped quarterback in Arch Manning and all that skill talent. This game is going to come down to composure. Whichever first-year starting QB avoids turnovers likely wins this game. For Texas, this would say they're already validated as a top 3 team, not just in the SEC, but in the country. A win in Columbus for the Longhorns, not just a great start. You would effectively be the de facto national championship frontrunner with a win on the road here. However, my model saying strongly favors Ohio State at home, even with all the question marks on the young offensive side of the football. What do you think? We will see. Let me know in the comments. We are going to move right on to LSU at Clemson. Death Valley at Death Valley. God, this is probably the game I'm most excited for the whole weekend. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting games to watch all weekend. This is the nightcap. Another massive cross-conference clash, SEC, ACC. A chance for LSU to prove they are better than maybe where a lot of people are predicting them to finish in the SEC. Now, the edges are here on screen. I'm not going to read those for you. Again, if you're not on YouTube, you need to be on there looking at it, checking out these deltas. But I'll just quickly gloss over Clemson favored in EPA per rush and EPA per dropback and early downs EPA. Now, LSU is definitely going to be more explosive. That offense is way more volatile, which is going to be that path for the win on the road. It usually is for your underdog. Clemson tends to win the field position battle, and I think that defense is going to be a little bit better than getting off the field than LSU. Now, LSU's offense was excellent on third down this year or last year, so that third, fourth down success will be really critical to watch. Can Clemson's defense get off the field? Can they keep LSU from converting? So Clemson is the obvious favorite here. Right around a 60% chance, 59.5% chance, but a 3-point game. Our model thinks it has Clemson winning by 2.7. That's basically a field goal. If this game were at LSU, you probably flip that. You probably have LSU winning by a field goal, right? So this is truly, I think it just comes down to who has home field advantage. In this case, it's Clemson. That's what the model's rolling with. I think LSU's best hope is to lean into their edges, create a little havoc, hit some explosive plays, flip field position with turnovers or special teams. But this one has all the makings, I think, of a quarterback duel. Cade Klubnik returning for Clemson after throwing, 36 TDs in 2024. That Garrett Riley high-tempo spread. He'll be well protected by a really good offensive line, I think, in the ACC. maybe one of the best. Peter Woods up front there. For LSU, Garrett Nussmeier, I mean, the dude could sling it. He's back after like a 4,000-yard season. Definitely got NFL arm talent, but maybe prone to some mistakes. I think Clemson's new DC will try to exploit Tom Allen. Clemson revamped the defensive scheme after being gashed last postseason, really leaning on a front led by TJ Parker and Woods to reestablish dominance against the run. I think the X factor for LSU, Harold Perkins Jr. Hang on. Let me make sure I have that right. Yeah. Sorry, just had to double check my notes there. Sometimes I put all this together and then I never actually like double check. So maybe having him like a star hybrid role, moving him over the field to blitz, cover, bring some pressures. If they can disrupt Klubnik's rhythm, then LSU can hang around. I think otherwise, Clemson's balance and efficiency it just may be too much at home. For LSU, this game is a shot to break out of that middle tier SEC perception, which is where a lot of people have them. Even if you have LSU at 9-3, a lot of people are projecting there to be like 4, maybe 5, 9-3 SEC. Like that still kind of puts you maybe middle of the pack, like front middle of the pack in the SEC. So for LSU to break out of that, I think beating Clemson on the road would definitely change the way our model views LSU and the way that the future playoff committee would look at them too. That would be a big time top 10 win that I think will hold up for the rest of the season. If Clemson is as good as most people project them to be, they're going to be a top 25 team all year, fringe top 10 team all year, potential playoff team. That would be a big win. That would be a really big win. Let's take some quick hits to kind of close out the episode here. We're not going to cover all the games, guys. Like Missouri plays on Thursday. It's Central Arkansas. Like obviously, I'm picking Missouri to win. Okay, Auburn Baylor plays on Friday. We'll cover that one, I think, here maybe before we jump off. But like Mississippi State, Southern Miss, I'm hoping Mississippi State wins that game. Like I'm not deep diving into these, right? Marshall at Georgia. Georgia's favored by 39.5. Like obviously I'm picking Georgia. Okay. Illinois State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma favored by 35.5. Obviously I'm picking them. Long Island in the Swamp. Obviously, I'm taking Florida, guys. And I'm obviously picking A&M. I'm picking Vanderbilt. I'm picking Ole Miss. All of these games, like all of these teams who are favored by 30 plus points, right? There's just not a whole lot to talk about unless you're just a fan of one of those teams specifically and you just want to hear a deep dive on like whether, Georgia State potentially covers a 35-point spread against Ole Miss. You're not going to find that here. I'm trying to pick like the bigger, more intriguing, more interesting ones. Obviously, as we get into SEC play and we have SEC on SEC, then we'll dive into all of these matchups. But for opening weekend, I just don't have a lot to say about Alabama A&M at Arkansas, right? We're trying to talk about teams with a pulse here. So Tennessee at Syracuse, an interesting game. The Vegas has the line on this one at less than 14 points. It's Tennessee by 13.5. So worth talking about here. Orange, decent storyline. I don't know that many people are really getting sold on that, but this is in Mercedes-Benz, so it's a neutral site game. I don't like this. Tennessee's the home team. Wish they could have just played this one in Knoxville. As a Tennessee fan myself, but my model likes Tennessee to win by 6.5 points. Obviously, Vegas thinks it's going to be more than that. So maybe you're taking the over there, Vols to win maybe by like 17, 20 points, or even just 2 touchdowns. Now, this is a sneaky good Syracuse team. Vols obviously replacing Nico Iamaleava with Joey Aguilar. While Dylan Sampson's running production must be replaced by committee, you've got Peyton Lewis, Star Thomas, Deshaun Bishop. I think the Vols running game is going to be just fine. I am not worried about Tennessee's run game or their defense. I totally understand having questions about Joey Aguilar, but Joey Aguilar has never had a better offensive line or better wide receiver talent. So I'm going to give Heupel here the benefit of the doubt. They're going to lean on that defense. I think by the end of this game, Tennessee is just going to out-athlete Syracuse. Syracuse, maybe they keep it close for a quarter. We saw this with the NC State game last year for Tennessee's neutral site opener. I just think by the end of that game, this is a runaway train and Syracuse can't keep up. Tennessee's going to be too physical up front, and that defense is just going to lean on them. Top 10 defense nationally last year. I think Syracuse is going to counter with the best they can with Steve Angeli, who's efficient, but he's untested. At least in this offense, Tennessee's depth and defense makes him the favorite here. But if Syracuse can hit some explosives, Tennessee has always been vulnerable in the secondary. This could be a little closer than expected. However, if you follow the Vegas line, Tennessee probably by a couple touchdowns here. I mean, 34-20. I really don't think Syracuse sniffs much more than 20 points in this ball game. And if Tennessee scores more than 30, I think the defense just sits on them and slowly smothers the life out of them. Okay. Yeah. Alabama at Florida State. We're going to talk about this one. So I ran this model several times. We saw the projected margin anywhere between like 13 and 15 points, which basically means a blowout. Anytime my model is picking double digits here, like 13, 15, you can maybe chalk in an extra touchdown or two. My model thinks Alabama is going to go on the road and absolutely blow Florida State out of the water. Alabama with an 88% win probability on the road, 13.2 that win margin. Now, if you're looking at the card here, my model always projects for the home team. So you'll see Florida State negative 13.2. That means Florida State losing by 13.2 points, right? So, second season of Kalen DeBoer, Ty Simpson leading this offense, but the real strength is going to be a nasty defense at secondary, full of NFL talent on that Alabama roster. Florida State coming off, a catastrophic season, 2-10. They were a preseason top 10 team, which again is why preseason rankings mean absolutely jack squat, and I'm not doing them this year. Gus Malzahn there as the OC. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Has experience against Alabama, but this is a new era for Alabama, so don't know that it's going to matter a whole lot. Dual threat QB Thomas Castellanos brings some excitement, but that Seminoles offensive line definitely a concern against Alabama's pass rush, which I think is going to absolutely wreak havoc here. The Tide have a clear edge. A lot of energy in Tallahassee for sure. I know those fans are going to show up, but my model thinks that Alabama absolutely runs away with this one. We can really quickly talk Auburn at Baylor. Now, this is a Friday game, 7 p.m., so a lot of eyes will be on this one. It's not a ranked matchup, but it could be. It could be. My model has this one as a really close game. Vegas has this one, has Auburn minus 2.5. My model thinks Baylor loses by about 2. So, I don't know. My model would weirdly have the under there. 61.3% win probability for Auburn on the road. Really interesting, guys. Really, really interesting. Another one that I don't think is as much up in the air, but Virginia Tech at South Carolina, another ACC SEC matchup. South Carolina 8-point favorites in this one on the betting spread. My model likes South Carolina by 5, but a 66% win probability. I think a lot favors the Gamecocks here. And this is also a neutral site game. This is in Mercedes-Benz. So probably, if this were at South Carolina, I'd give them another 3 points. This would definitely be like a 7-8 point game for me. There in Mercedes-Benz, the model is notching a little bit off that, but I think South Carolina wins by at least a touchdown. Some things to prove for sure, but they're a better team top to bottom than Virginia Tech. I don't think the Gamecocks should have any problem with the Hokies, but night game, neutral site. Afternoon game. Afternoon game, neutral site. I think this one's right after the Tennessee-Syracuse game. What else do I have in here? I think this is the last one. Yeah. Toledo at Kentucky. Now, why in the world am I talking about this one? Well, Kentucky's a 9.5-point favorite at home, but it's Toledo. It's Toledo, guys. It's Toledo. 60.7% chance to win. My model does think Kentucky wins, but it's a small margin, y'all. 2.7 projected win margin for Kentucky. That's basically a field goal ball game. So, do I think Kentucky wins? Yes. Do I feel good about it? Hell no. Like, Toledo, the over-under is 47.5. Like, that's a, 24, 20. God, like, do you take the under here? I might take the under. I don't know. What is Kentucky's offense? But, like, could Toledo come into Lexington and, like, beat Kentucky by a field goal? Like, based on my model, I would take Toledo to cover at least the 9.5. And this could be a sneaky, like, almost upset pick. I'm not going to pick it. I'm not going to do that in week one. I'm all SEC love in week one, but I don't know. The model's getting interesting. And by the way, y'all, this will change as we go throughout the season, as we get 2025 data, and get into the SEC on SEC matchups. The model will refine, and you'll see a lot more of the current roster reflected in all of these deltas. So I don't know. What do you think, guys? Like, who are your upset picks this weekend? I want to know. Follow me on Twitter at SEC Recap, on X. Subscribe, like, and subscribe here on YouTube. Let me know on Twitter. Let me know here in the YouTube comments. What do you think? Do you think Toledo could sneak one in on Kentucky? Do you think Virginia Tech could keep it close with the Gamecocks? Do you think Syracuse, that Fran Brown led team, throws some funky stuff at Tennessee? And we have some weird games in Atlanta. Do you think Texas can get an upset on the road at Ohio State? Do you think LSU gets the dub on the road at Clemson? I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Before we get out here, guys, I do this all for free. I put a lot of work into these models for football season, and I'm not sponsored. I just work based on donations, which you'll see up there in the corner of the QR code there. And I sell a few t-shirts on my Bonfire store, bonfire.com/store/SEC recap. I'll pop the QR up here, but you can just follow that link. It's always in the show description, bonfire.com/store/SEC recap. My brand new Saturdays collection is live. It just launched. Every SEC team, we got Texas and Oklahoma in this one as well as some fun stuff. I am showing off my Big Doink Energy tee today. You show off your love for Big Doinks with the Big Doink Energy t-shirt. We got t-shirt, long sleeve, hoodies in all of these styles, guys. And I even kept the classic SEC Pride collection on there, which were really, really popular. But go check out the Saturdays collection. I love these. I spent a lot of time working on these, featuring the Texas one right here on screen on YouTube. So please go check those out. Buy a t-shirt, buy a long sleeve shirt, buy a hoodie. It'll be fall and it'll be bonfire season before you know it. So check out the bonfire.com/store/SEC recap for all those merch. Guys, that's really going to do it. That's going to do it for our week one preview. Enjoy the game. Sunday, Monday to recap all the action, and we'll have our power rankings model. We're bringing that back, and we're going to recap all of the action. I know there's going to be some craziness. Y'all have a great week. Enjoy the games. Have a great weekend, and I will catch you on the next one.